Hello, good afternoon. Um, so, while I was at Stanford, if you didn't know me while I was here, I was a gymnast. And one of the things about gymnasts is that generally they're pretty short. So, today I want to talk about someone who is short in the Bible and what we can learn from him. You probably know who I'm talking about. If you turn to Luke chapter 19, there's a story of Zacchaeus. And if you remember, he wanted to see Jesus. In Luke 19, verse 1, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on the account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. And I can relate to that as a short person. I've been in crowds before where I can't see over the crowd. Have you ever been to a sports game or something like that? If you're a short person, you know the struggle that I'm talking about, where there's people taller than you standing, and you're trying to look through their shoulders and things like that. So that's what Zacchaeus was doing. He was trying to see Jesus. He had heard so much about Jesus, and he couldn't see him. And I imagine Zacchaeus tapping the shoulder on the person in front of him, saying, "What is Jesus like? I can't see him through the crowd. What is he like?" And the person in front of him might have said, "Wow, if you could see Jesus, the way that he heals people and how he touches people and prays with them. And there was a blind person and he regained his sight and he started jumping for joy. It's amazing. You have to see it." And Zacchaeus would have said, "Man, I have to see Jesus for myself." And so he climbed a tree, a sycamore tree, and we know the story that Jesus later came and found him in the sycamore tree. But I was thinking, let's say that you were at some sports game. I think you guys like the 49ers here, San Francisco 49ers. Let's say you were at the 49ers game. It's the Super Bowl, and your favorite player is Brock Purdy. Okay, I don't think that, and let's say you're kind of short, I don't think that you would settle to stand behind someone the whole game and look at their shoulders and tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, what happened on that play? I heard everybody cheering." And he'd say, "Man, Brock Purdy, he was scrambling. He was almost, tackled, and then he threw a touchdown pass." You wouldn't be satisfied with that, right? You would find a way to see Brock Purdy. You'd climb on your chair, or you'd find something. I know you would. If you're a child, you'd climb on your dad's shoulders because you'd want to see Brock Purdy. And that's how Zacchaeus was with Jesus. He wanted to see Jesus, and he wasn't going to be satisfied with somebody just telling him about Jesus. And so what I learned from that, one of the blessings of the new covenant is found in Hebrews and chapter 8, that we all get to know Jesus personally. It's one of the blessings that was not there in the old covenant. In Hebrews 8 and verse 11, it says, "They shall not teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, 'Know the Lord,' for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest." So basically he's saying, if you're a Christian, you don't have to live a life where you just hear about Jesus from other people and they tell you to know the Lord. And you tap them on the shoulder and you say, "Hey, tell me about Jesus, tell me about Jesus." That's a good place to start. But it says, even from the least to the greatest, you have the opportunity to see Jesus yourself and get to know Jesus yourself. And that's what I wanted to encourage everyone with today, is not to go back under the old covenants where, they only knew about God through the priests. And the priests could go into the most holy place, but nobody else could go there. And I'm sure people would ask, what's it like in the most holy place? What's it like in the presence of God? But today we don't have to ask that question. Because we all, when Jesus died, the veil was torn. And that's the blessing of the new covenant, that we can enter into the most holy place, all of us, from the least to the greatest. And you don't have to say, what is the presence of God like? You can experience the presence of God in your own life. You can hear from him directly. And one more verse I'll share from John chapter 4. There was the woman that Jesus met and at the well. And then after she met Jesus, she was so amazed. After talking with Jesus, she had a personal encounter with Jesus. And she went back to her town and she told all her town about Jesus. "You have to meet Jesus." It's so wonderful. And it says in John chapter 4, verse 39, many of the Samaritans in that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. So they heard her testimony. Jesus is so wonderful. You have to meet him. And they believed because of the woman's testimony. But they didn't stop there. In verse 42, they said to the one, after they met Jesus personally and they heard him speak, in verse 42 it says, it's no longer because of what you said that we believe, for we have heard for ourselves, and we know that he is indeed the Savior of the world. And so that's my encouragement for everybody here. Maybe you're a little short spiritually. Maybe you're a new believer. You don't know as much about the Lord as some other people, and you listen to wonderful sermons at church, and people's testimonies, they come up and they share the wonderful things that Jesus has done for them in their life. And you say, wow, Jesus is so wonderful. But don't stop there, because that's like the old covenant. That's like saying, hey, priest, tell me what it's like in the most holy place. We can do that today with the elders of the church. Say, hey, elder, what's Jesus like? Tell me. And that's great. It's a great thing to share our testimonies, but don't stop there. Go and meet Jesus yourself. So that's my encouragement. Thank you.